What's up, guys? Wes, the People's Pitmaster, back again for another episode of the Smoke Ring Syndicate. It's my weekly barbecue podcast that drops every Wednesday at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, we're going live with a whole bunch of folks. I've got a YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, a whole assortment of experts. We're doing the barbecue content roundtable. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
What's up, Wes?
What's up, guys? What's up, guys? I'll do a short intro on everybody. Um, on my side here, we've got Cooking with Coochie Latour.
Yes, sir.
And down below, we've got Nick Cook's Barbecue, Nick Parsons of Forge Fire Barbecue, or Forge Fire Creative, excuse me. And of course, Deuce Raymond of Sweet Baby Ray's Barbecue Restaurant and Catering, and the social media sensation that he is. Good morning, guys. I appreciate y'all jumping in and having a little roundtable action with me. It's been a little bit to try to put everybody on the same schedule and the same calendar, but we've managed to make it work. And we'll see what we get into today. And if I get forward. So I kind of want to touch base with kind of where you are currently, so the folks listening know where you are if they've missed the episodes with you individually. We'll go back to front. Deuce. Social media and kind of where you are as far as like where they can see you. Just hit me your socials and kind of some of the levels you're at.
Yep, sure. So I'm at Deuce Raymond on all the platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and our at Sweet Baby Race Catering is pretty much what we started really pushing to build awareness and brand recognition for the catering company and the restaurant. So on TikTok, we have just under 400,000 followers at Sweet Baby Race Catering. We just broke 100,000 followers on Instagram, and we have about 60,000 followers each on Facebook and YouTube for Sweet Baby Race Catering. And we just launched a podcast about 4 weeks ago. We're doing weekly episodes. And, the next moving forward, we're going to focus more on building my personal brand. So Deuce Raymond, we just cracked 30K on Instagram followers, and we're just, building awareness that way. And that's where we're at.
Awesome, man. You've been busy since last time you and I spoke, and it hadn't been that long.
Yep.
Nick.
Yes, sir.
Hit me with your socials, where you at, and what we looking at.
Absolutely. So we are at Nick Cook's Barbecue on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, as well as our marketing company, which is at Forge Fire Creative on Instagram and TikTok. And I think we have a YouTube presence, but we don't really focus on that for the marketing side. But that's where we live. I'm not a massive influencer with, hundreds and thousands of followers like some of y'all are, but I've been a barbecue creator for a real long time. And I work with brands on creating content for their barbecue companies and a couple other niches. So that's kind of our background.
Awesome. And last but not least, Cooking with Coochie Latour, buddy.
Hey, man. So Cooking with Coochie, that's cooking without a G, WIDKUNCHI on all platforms. So 177,000 followers on TikTok, 185,000 on Instagram, 57,000 on Facebook, and we're just about to crack 10,000 on YouTube.
Fantastic, man. So most of what everybody here does is, as far as content creation, is more of short form, right? when you're getting into short form as opposed to long form, and I consider long form to be like YouTube and that sort of thing. Um, how do you differentiate between the two? Because you're all kind of dabbling in both long form and short form. How do you figure out your audience between the two? It's-
Um, so yeah, they're definitely different animals, and really, what we focus on is short form because that's where the attention is at. I mean, that's just what the where the people are at on Reels, both on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, of course. And then YouTube didn't want to be left out, so they had YouTube Shorts that came on about 3 or 4 years ago, and that's where we get our biggest bang for our buck. It's shorter videos, and now don't let it be confused. You still got to put every effort into editing those videos and making them as polished as possible, depending on your style, of course. But
Mhm.
um the short form is where the eyeballs are at, and that's what we focus on. We did play around a little bit with long form on YouTube, and um it just takes a little more time to edit and get that much content, and that's more production value. You
Mhm.
have to be more thought out about how you're getting the angles, and make sure you're fluid with everything that you have going on. So short form is a little easier in my opinion, um and it's just where we're getting the most amount of views and attention.
Yeah. Do you think, because you talked about being polished versus kind of the click on and shoot your face type stuff, do you feel like I mean, what you're doing like outside of outside of the reels and such, like running an actual restaurant and being in like sterilized kitchen type deal, forced you into being like let me do the production value and like all the fancy edits and everything? Do you think that boxed you in at all?
I think we're kind of in the middle where our stuff isn't super overproduced, and there's a fine line where you want to come off as authentic, but you also want it to be look professional and look good. And yes, being from Sweet Baby Ray's and our background in a professional kitchen, I think I have a little more pressure on me to come across as more polished, and that's kind of like my nature. What you see on the video is how I come to work every day, whether I have a video. I have my polo on, my slacks on, and my hair's combed, and that's just the way it is for me, and everyone's got their own style, and whether I'm on camera or not, if you see me walking on the street, that's what I look like, and
Yeah,
and so I think for me there's a little pressure that way, although I kind of would be naturally that way anyways, but yeah, I think that authenticity is the main thing. Whatever's
mhm,
natural for you that's what you should go with.
yeah. What are your
We can't
thoughts
all
on
be
that?
coons in the pajama pants while you're grilling and everything, right?
Dude, the
I
Hey,
wish
the
I could pull
pajama
those off, man.
pants, the pajama
I
pants,
wish I could
dude,
pull them
is
off.
one of my best videos. Even when like I'm standing there and I'm talking for 4 minutes, people watch the videos in my pajamas. I don't know what the deal is, but I was, Bruce said or Deuce said something about the pressures. And I think a lot of the pressure as far as creating content we take on, as individuals, but if we remain authentic to ourselves, you'll see way better success. And it's evident in how my content has evolved over time. I started creating just YouTube content, the long, overproduced, just real pretty videos, lots of transitions and all of this stuff. And then I didn't grow, you know, as much as I thought. But when I stuck a camera in my face on TikTok, it was just like, okay, people are listening to what I'm saying. Over time, though, now I'm coming back to YouTube because now I understand the value of having kind of a balanced presence across the platforms because people do different things on different platforms. people will watch your video for 30 seconds on Instagram, but if you put the same video in 20 minutes over on YouTube, they're going to sit there and watch it. And I think, ev- you know, Gary Vee talks about platform and culture. They just behave differently. And so, as a creator, you want to just appeal to as many people within the audience range as you possibly can. So, you got to diversify your content and make it appealing everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think when you do this for, I don't want to say for a living, because, a lot of us don't always do it for a living, but when you do this, what you would call professionally or semi-professionally, there's certain channels that you have to think about. And I don't mean channels like social media channels. I mean channels as far as channels of thought. And the way I typically do it and also tell my clients to do is you kind of have to think of all the social media channels as a funnel. You really do need to have a presence and everything. Coach, you alluded to Gary Vee. Gary always says, be everywhere you possibly can, right? Secure your brand in every place. Now, you can't obviously devote all your time to 100% being in every single channel. Like sometimes you just got to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. But I think what we start thinking about as creators and what I coach my brands that I work with as creators is know what works on each platform and be in consideration of that as you're producing content. So I typically like to produce all my content in a semi long form fashion. And then the edit is really where it stands out. But you have to be thinking about that ahead of time because you have to produce that long form content in a way where you're still going to be able to get a hook. So we're going to, create the content, create the food, whatever at the end. We're going to go ahead and do 4 or 5 or 7 different hooks at the end to catch because I'm going to use some of them on YouTube. I'm going to use some on TikTok. I'm going to use some on Instagram. We're going to do some different intros that are all in different places. So you have to be thinking about all that so you have a library of stuff to work with when you start editing. And then you can cut that down for that 30-second TikTok or that minute and a half Instagram or that 15-minute YouTube. But you have to be thinking of all the channels that you're going to have a presence on and what works because you can't just cross post, a 5-minute video to TikTok and a 5-minute video to YouTube and Instagram and then expect them all to do the same. They're not going to because all of them have different audiences. All of them are different platforms. So as creators, we have to be thinking, are we getting every single thing we need in every situation, every shot, every hook, every script, every line, so that we have all that to work with when we actually come to produce the content? So it would be a lot easier to just be that creator that does nothing but stick a camera in your face and record for 45 seconds and become a TikTok sensation. And those people exist. But when you have the funnel like we do, where you have to bring them in at the top and get them in the hook and get them in the 15, 20, 30-second videos, and you really want to work them down to the long form where you build a relationship with them, where they like what you're doing up here, they start trusting you in that mid form, that 1, 2, 3-minute content, and then they invest in the long form because they trust you enough to know that you know what you're talking about. So that's why you can watch a Deuce video where he says 15 seconds of really good information and then go all the way down and like, oh, now I'm going to watch him cook a brisket for 10 minutes and learn all the little pieces of information I need. That's how you build that audience and that trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the way you broke that down, Nick. Very good.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. I figured he would be both informative to the audience in general, and then you guys would probably appreciate him as well. He's kind of has done it before, and it's repeating it, with other brands. He started with the Hasty Bake stuff, and kind of Hasty Bake went from, if you owned the Hasty Bake to like, oh, Hasty Bake's the thing to do, the thing to get. And I mean, like, because Hasty Bake's been around forever, and just content creation and marketing.
It's all about building that network, man, building those people that it becomes a deep audience. And that's the difference between someone just like, oh, that guy's cool, and then moving on with their life. And all of a sudden now I follow that person and I trust that person. And I, want every single thing they do, I want to take notes on.
Yeah.
Like you said, Nick, when you create that trust, it's evident if you pay attention to what your audience does. I have about between 10 to 20 people who show up on every post, on every platform, every time. And not one of those people has ever said to me, dude, I saw you make this video 6 months ago, or I saw you post the same video over on this platform. the people that are looking for your content and looking for your information, they just want it all the time.
Yeah.
And it is your duty. I tell people, because I have done the content creation coaching thing a little bit over on TikTok. But I tell people, when somebody follows you because you said, follow me for more, they want more,
Yeah.
right? And so you have to now decide, okay, do I want to provide more? If you don't want to provide more, do not promise more, right? So I promise people information, and I promise them more recipes like this and more ideas. And so every day I got to show up and just give them more of the thing that I promised them.
Yeah.
I'll just
And
say one thing on the more stuff is I get questioned a lot is like, do you ever get scared of pushing your stuff too much? Do you posting too much and wearing people out? And I tell people that it's not even possible because we post every day, multiple platforms. And I still, when I go to the grocery store and I see and that works at the register, she's like, "Oh, what happened to your videos? Keep posting. I haven't seen a video in a while." I'm like, "We post multiple times a day, like
Yeah.
all the time."
Yeah.
And it's like, it's never going to be enough. So no one has to be scared about producing too much because they think they're going to oversaturate something or be annoying to their friends or whatever it is. Like, you could post all the
Yeah.
time and it's still not going to be over the top.
Yeah. You're going to find your people, man. I think 100%. You know, it's like when I'm coaching my brands about in marketing, like email and SMS list, like messaging. If people don't like your stuff, they're going to unsubscribe. If people think
Mhm.
I mean, you'll have a few haters that stick around just because they like to stir the pot. But for the most part, like if somebody doesn't want to watch your stuff, they're not going to watch it, and the algorithm's going to move them on because they're not engaging with it, right? So
Mhm.
if you continue to post, the people that stick around, they are your audience. And as creators, I mean, it's our job in a lot of ways to sell in general. You know, we're either selling ourselves, our personal brand, we're selling companies or brands that sponsor us. We're selling companies, you know, Deuce like you or like the
Mhm.
company I used to work for, where we had a product that we were trying to push behind it. But when you come at it like Kunshi said, where you serve, the sell comes really easy because people, you know, they trust you, they know you, they believe you. So when you say, hey, this is a really good product, they actually believe it because that you've invested in them enough and educated them enough and served them enough that now they've given you the right to sell to them. And they're not turned off by that sell. They're not turned off by the amount of content we produce, even if the content is about selling, because they trust us.
yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
I mean that's sales 101. People buy from people who they know, they like, and they trust. And granted, they can't shake your hand, but they've seen you in your element. And I kind of feel like um, Kunchi probably has a level of authenticity
Mhm.
that Deuce doesn't have, because you don't see like the his world outside of just being in the kitchen or being beside the grill. Because like you'll see, Kunchi's kids or his wife in the shot, or a buddy here and there. So it's almost like, oh yeah, that's my buddy Coochie, and you would be able to, like, if you watch his content enough, you would probably be able to recognize his kids or his wife, automatically, just because you've seen them. And with that level of trust, because you see this is this man's family. Granted, he doesn't put the family in everything, but like, they end up in it because Coochie's just doing his thing, and the family just
Real
happens to
life.
be there. It's real life,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I explain this to people because people are like, why don't you create more professional content? I share my dinner with you, right? I'm sharing my weekend, like I'm hanging out with the guys. That's what I'm sharing with you. So I share what I do, I share what we eat, like I share the products we use. I'm not here to try to encourage you to go to culinary school or anything like that. I
Yeah,
literally said, you know what? I'm going to show people what I do. I'm going to show them how I do it. And a lot of people are on for the ride. So you
yeah,
won't, you, besides the very first part of my YouTube journey, the very first part of my Instagram, you won't see beautiful plating all the time or a curated feed of all of this stuff. It's literally my day to day. And
Yeah.
I do more live content than I do actually record stuff, but I still post multiple times a day, and it's the same thing. There are very few videos that come from an event or a planned setting. But man, like right now, I'm just thinking about what am I gonna have for dinner today. All right, I'm gonna film that. It's not like, dude, I saw this dude did this crazy thing. I got to do it too. That's not where my content comes
Yeah.
from.
And there's a place for
Dude,
that, but that's not your brand, man.
right. And when I do it, I feel weird. If Deuce does what I do, he's gonna feel weird. So whatever your brand is and who you are and how you do things, that's what people are gonna love about you. You can't be, the guy in his kitchen every day, and I can't be the guy in a professional kitchen every day. It just would not work, that same way.
Yeah, it's the level of authenticity is a little bit off maybe. Um, and I don't know, Deuce. I don't know if you can do the island spices. I don't know if that's your speed or not.
I could do the island spices, but I could not pull off the pajama pants.
I mean,
But still, I don't know if people are going to believe it as much as they believe it when Kunshi talks about it.
Yeah.
They're like, who the heck is this white guy trying to teach me how to cook jerk chicken?
That's the problem.
yeah, I say you got Deuce over here, making food from a neighborhood he's never been to, and then we got Kunshi in his pajama pants. Just
Uh,
it's a level of authenticity that
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. He's probably gonna make jerk chicken like next his next post is gonna be jerk chicken. You know that, right?
Hmm.
I'm gonna
Yep.
do a jerk chicken poach and call out Kunchi on it for sure.
Can
now.
you please wear pajama pants when you do that? Like,
oh
just
my god! Now we're talking.
Oh, let's go.
So, so the level of authenticity and building your brand and building your followers and posting saying you can't overpost. Um, I almost feel like Gary Vee gets pretty close to overposting, but I'm still a follower, so I guess he's not overposting. As far as we had talked about before, you shoot content and you have to have something really to post at least every day, and then some of y'all are doing multiple times a day. As far as reusing content and that sort of thing, do you rework stuff, or is it just a flat out you saved it and it goes re-uploaded like 8 months later or 6 months later, or is it just kind of a by the feel, or how do you make a decision to say, you know what, let me post this again because this didn't do well or this did do well? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
So I'll start with that, and we've seen great success, especially on Instagram, being able to repost videos. And we usually wait 3 or 4 months, but if we've posted the same how to wrap competition ribs, and a million people have done it before, and I've done it different ways, but whatever it is, this one video, it's hit 6 million views. 5 million views, and then just like over 1 million views the other 4 times. So it's like 6 times we posted, all 6 times over 1 million views. And we spread it out, but people still want to see it. So I don't feel bad about posting it again because people just enjoy watching that process. It's satisfying, whatever the case may be. And but on YouTube you cannot repost stuff. They stop that right away. And we don't find as much success with it on TikTok either, but on Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels for sure you can repost successful videos multiple times. I think that's kind of like a cheat code, if you will. Like a lot of people just say they won't do it or they don't like it or however it makes you feel. I don't care how it makes me feel. The people like to watch it, so we're gonna post it.
Yeah.
it's hacking the algorithm, man.
Yeah.
So the the goal of posting and the goal of creating is attention. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the way how I use my content, how I repost, is now I'm in this space where I'm trying to pay attention to YouTube. Because if almost 10,000 people have said, I want to see what you're doing, I now have to go deliver this content that I've been promising 10 people when I say subscribe to the page, right? So I take my other short form content, and on YouTube Shorts, you can repost the stuff, all the time, not on the long form side of it. But on my Instagram, my TikTok, my Facebook, I'm going to recycle those posts, whether they did well or not. You could take a video and you can change the beginning, you can speed it up, you can add a voiceover. There's so many things that you can do to make a video unique. Now, you have to control in the beginning, you have to make sure the video is shot pretty good, um, you know, edited properly. You still have room where you can mess with it again. But, like, make sure you are saving that content and also reworking it, because there's times when I'm like, you know what, I can't create Instagram content right now, but I can schedule 10 videos that I have that I know are good, that I know work, and just take this week, be on vacation or, something. But reposting your videos, man, that saves you a lot of time, especially if you're trying to spread your wings across multiple platforms.
And
It,
every video is going to hit different too. And I think you and Deuce kind of said two different things, but at the same time, you pointed at the same fact, which was,
Yes.
Deuce was saying people want to see this content. They saw it before, they loved it, show it to them again, and maybe it'll expand. You're kind of coming at it from a different angle, but at the same time, the whole goal is to get people to be exposed to that content. So whether it was exposed to 1 million people one time and then 1 million the next time and then 4 million the next time, or, and this happens, a lot of times more often than not, it'll be exposed to 4,000 people the first time, and then you post it again and 50,000 people like it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And it's just, it was the day, it was the time, it was the, whatever was going on, in the news cycle or whatever, it just pulled people's attention. So I always like to say, we know when we produce content if we're doing our best stuff. And if we're going to be real brutally honest, like some of our stuff is not our best stuff, right? And
Sure.
and that's okay, because that's real and that's authentic. But there's times when I'll produce something and I'm like, this is a banger, and it'll fall flat. And I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Leave it out there. I'm gonna come and recycle it later, and I may come back at it and say this is still a banger. I don't need to change it at all, and I'm gonna post it again and see if it hits. And there's times when 2 or 3 months later, I'll put eyes on it again. I'm like, you know what? I think the hook is what fell flat. So like Kunshi said, if you got that footage, if you keep all your stuff, which anybody who's a creator, we have hard drives and hard drives full of stuff, and our phones are overflowing and everything. So if you keep all your stuff, you have the room, and you know how to shoot it. You have the room to be able to come in and say, cut that hook. Here's a new hook. Or come in and film a new hook for it and be like, hey, I got a brisket video for you. You guys hated it last time. Let's see if you hate it again. And then throw it out. And sometimes that'll hit it, right? So like, Kuchi said, doing a voiceover or something, changing it up. But we know what our good stuff is, and we know the stuff that we want to put forward. And sometimes we just put stuff forward, and I'm like, I don't know if it's going to hit or not, but I feel like it's good. So
Yeah.
that's part of being a creator, because we don't only produce content because we want followers, right? A lot of times we produce content because realistically, we're creatives in general. Like, we just want to get our stuff out there. And if I feel like this recipe is a really good recipe and people don't like it, I don't care. I wanted to create it anyway, right?
Right. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
something that I struggle with a little bit, is because the stuff that I really want to produce as a chef is one thing I'm really passionate about, is actually taking authentically smoked meats and then pairing it with like international flavor profiles. And when I produce that content, I get very little engagement a lot of the times, because everybody is so conditioned to see, they want, competition ribs and brisket and Alabama chicken and like core barbecue items. So when I get to be a little creative, it doesn't get as much engagement. But I told Matt and the guys on our team, is like, we're still going to produce this content because this is what's important to me. And eventually it's going to catch on. And we actually talked about, like, when the girl that films all our videos. Bianca, she got married and went on her honeymoon, so we've been off all month. We're just built on content. We planned for it. We built in extra filming the previous 2 months, so we would just be off for this month filming. And when she comes back, we're gonna split our time between Barbecue Like a Boss, which is more traditional barbecue stuff, and then we're gonna start filming like a second series. Either it's going to be like more family oriented or more health orientated. One of the two. We haven't decided yet. But and that's gonna take a while to catch on. But it'll be like a separate series. So like there's Barbecue Like a Boss, more traditional barbecue, and then there's cooking healthy with Deuce or whatever that might be, and those both are very authentic to me. I'm both very into them, but they're just different animals, and it'll take time for them to take off.
Yeah. Well, and go ahead, Chris.
I think one of the ways where I've seen things take off that are not really where I test things a lot is on live streams. So on live streams, I'm testing both the audience and the content, right? I'm seeing like, do I really want to do this jalapeno popper stuffed chicken breast thing? And I go and I'm on live and I cook it. And I'm just like, bro, I am never doing this again. Right? The cook came out great and the food was delicious and everything, but I'm just like, this is not me. I don't want to do this for 2 hours to get 60 seconds. It doesn't sit with me. But there are things, if I'm trimming a brisket, there's 1,000 people watching, right? If I'm doing anything with raw meat, like getting a whole sirloin and breaking it down, there's just so many people looking at that stuff. And it those things kind of guide what I do. Like, oh, so people like to see this. And then I could possibly download that whole live, especially if I do it on TikTok, and go chop it up and make it into a 60-second or a 90-second video. But the idea is we should try whatever it is that you want to work on. As a content creator, try the thing, see if it works, but don't be married to your own ideas, right? Be married to what works. And that's that's basically what it is. I mean, it's the same thing with real life. Some people fall in love with this girl who really just is not into them. And if you continue to just chase that thing, where will you end up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of a little bit for me hearing basically all three of y'all going, yeah, recycle videos because they do really well, and it makes sense now that I really think about it, because like I can go back in my brain and go, I've got a Facebook following, the barbecue group that's I think it's around 80,000 people now. And when we hit 50,000 people, I did a massive giveaway with a grill from a grill company, a set of knives, coolers, like it was like thousands of dollars of stuff. And when we gave it away, I had no less than like 100 messages. I didn't hear anything about this. I didn't know anything about this. And I'm like, we posted it in the group like almost every single day. And like, we posted pictures of it as like, the cover photo of the group. And like I did live streams, and like I literally, I shot content exclusively for that giveaway. And I was like, hey guys, we're really, really close. And like people still didn't see it. And it took me until today to realize, you know what? Y'all probably don't eat barbecue every single day, but y'all post barbecue every single day.
Yeah.
And like I'm literally sitting here going back, and like the stuff that I post, a lot of it is very few videos that I post are repetitive. Like you'll get like the first part of a cook, and then like the finished part of a cook and then like the whole cook together. But it's not like it's very few. Am I like going, hey, this one did really well. Let me try something similar to this, or let me try it again in 6 months. So if nobody else learned anything
Somebody,
today, I did.
somebody explained it to me one time. Like, if you love a song, you like a Snoop Dogg song, you listen to it. If you listen to that your favorite song one time, and then you're done forever? No, you're going to listen to it over and over again because you really like that song. So it's the same thing with content. If you have something that people enjoy, you can repost it because they liked it once, they'll like it again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Do you guys feel like, kind of piggybacking off that you've discovered a cadence with your audience as far as this is the kind of stuff when I post on YouTube Shorts, this is what they like. When I post on Instagram, not just from a technical standpoint, like, oh, I need a better hook or I need a different timeline. Do you feel like certain things that you cook or processes that you do perform better in different platforms?
Absolutely for me.
Like what kind of example?
So on YouTube Shorts, people love the videos that I made a mistake. So I try not to edit out all my mistakes, right? I try not to create the perfect video every time. If I see something and I'm like, somebody's gonna say something about that. And I have this one example on YouTube. I have a video that on Shorts, everybody is mad that I probed the salmon, right? And I'm just like, that made you mad? Like I want to show the people who are going to ask, because you have people who are going to ask, what temperature do you pull it off, right? And so I show that, and I said about 145, you don't probe salmon. It's kind of the same thing if I go on any platform that I post the snake method, it's going to do very well. And if I post it every day, it's going to go very well. One of the main thing is there's billions of people out here with eyeballs looking at content. They can't see everything and they can't see you every day. Unless you're doing like exponentially well over everybody else, don't take it for granted that there's other people who have not seen you yet. New people get phones every day. New people sign up to these platforms every day. Some people have multiple accounts on these platforms all the time, and they're looking at different things. So I don't take it for granted that everybody has seen it. I've done the snake method has been one of my most popular videos on every platform, whether I do it in long form content or in short form. Millions and millions of views every single time, thousands of questions every single time, and a lot of times it's the same question. Won't
Yeah.
your food taste like charcoal? I get it every time I post it. So that's proof to me that different people are watching.
Yes,
My,
it tastes like charcoal. That's the
yeah,
point, mother.
that's the point.
But it's not all white.
Yeah, man, it's
Oh,
amazing though. On Facebook, there are certain things like people love, you making fun of stuff on Facebook, but they also like the short form style of content just a little bit longer on Facebook. The short form over on Instagram, they like it really short. And then people are going to sit down for 20 minutes on YouTube and watch this one video. So everything has its place, every platform has its culture, and we have to just fit into that and provide that value when they need it.
Deuce, have you found
Deuce.
something similar?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's kind of across all platforms for us, though. But what Kunchi said about, leaving something in that's wrong, or what we call it is commentability. If
Hmm.
it's a perfect slab and I just did everything perfect and it looks great, it'll do okay, like, because it looks good. But if there is something to comment about, or, there has to be something to comment about. Otherwise, it doesn't have the legs to go. Like, for instance, when we made this mashed potato video, the colander I used to strain the potatoes was all beat to crap. We are in a production kitchen, and if you guys know, when you make like demi-glaze in a production kitchen, you like double colander it, and they like push the ladle through there, and the colander gets beat up. So I used that one to strain the potatoes, not even thinking of it at the time. But when you watch the video, like that was all the comments. What happened to that thing? It went through a war. Like what? Like, and that's what made that one video blow up. Same things like we do a lot of the Weber grill, but I put it inside the production kitchen because it's easier to film in that contained area. Outside where our catering kitchen is right by O'Hare Airport. So every 30 seconds there's a plane going. So I love filming outside, but it just doesn't, it's not conducive because it's like every 30 seconds there's a giant jet going over our head. So we have the Weber grill on the inside. People freak out about it. They don't understand like the smoker that's in the inside. There's a giant fire in there all day long. There's a grill with a fire.
The roof is literally a giant vent, people.
Yeah, right. Like they don't get it. So like people freak out about that. But I'm like, leave the grill inside. We're doing it inside because because they, just it's so funny the comments on that. Like lighting up a grill in my living room right now. And it's hilarious. And for whatever reason, the biggest comment that's kind of across things, people think that I sound like Kermit the Frog. And I don't know why or how, but if you look through some of our comments, it's absolutely hilarious. Like he's cooking up Miss Piggy. She's going up in smoke. And it's like, oh my God.
You need to lean into that every now and then, man.
I know. I have to figure out a way, but it's so funny and random.
That's a shirt with the
yeah, right. Just embroidered on the polo.
Yeah. Just you just have Kermit on there and don't say anything about it. Yep. Just post a video with it says Kermit and just let somebody catch it and find it, and it'll probably light off.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I wish there was a way for me to filter all of my comments and get a sense of how many times people have called me Shaq. I'm talking.
I mean, you're huge, bro.
Like that's about it. But I've leaned into it when I'm on live and people say, "Is that Shaq?" I said, "No, it's Shaq from Wish." Right, and I'll put the
Timu Shaq.
It's right, and I'll put it in. I'll put it in the comments as well when people leave that comment. But it doesn't matter what type of food I'm cooking. There is a potential for somebody to say Shaq in that thing, and I don't change anything that I do or that I'm gonna do because I'm afraid of the comments that are coming. I see some people like are gonna leave that comment. I'm like, we'll be talking about it. Me and my neighbor, we brainstorm a lot of content, and we'll be like, look at this video I just edited, and he is like, they're gonna talk about that, right? And I'm like, yep, I know it. And
well,
you leave that for them because, like Deuce said, commentability. If they're not engaging in some way, how do you know?
Even negative attentions is still pushing your stuff into the algorithm and pushing it further up in the stuff that they're suggesting on each platform, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys see this comment from the viewer here? Big Lico?
Yeah, I was gonna say we've got a comment for a viewer. I've been waiting for y'all to shut up. So Big Lico Craft Barbecue says, "How do y'all hope the content helps the viewers?"
I mean, I'll start up top. I'll just go real quick and start and say, that's what our whole premise is how we are going to add value to the people watching the show. We don't come across as this is our catering company, come buy something from us. I show our rubs and our sauce in our videos, but I'm not telling you, oh, go to deuceswild.com. Here it is. It's on sale today. I show you what I think is going to help you in the kitchen. And that's the premise of everything we do. And then by that, adding value that builds attention to our brand. And that's how I benefit from it. But, from the core of the video is how can I help someone do something? How can I help them become a barbecue boss? Giving them some of the information I have and hopefully help them make a better meal for their friends or their family, something like that. So that's how I think about it.
Good.
What about you, Kuchi?
As for me, I hope that you see what I do not as showing you what I do, but I'm showing you how to do.
Hmm.
Right? So I'm not here to show off. I'm not here to flex on you how expensive my grill is. Everybody can pick up a Weber kettle. Even though, like I
Go ahead,
do,
Rich.
I will profit if you go and buy this from my link or whatever it is. But I'm also going to tell you, dude, go check it out on Facebook Marketplace, right? I always tell people I bought my first Weber grill for $25 on Facebook Marketplace from a dude that said, "Man, I retired and I just want to travel." And he was just selling everything. And I was like, I want that grill because I kept seeing the grill in Wes's Facebook group. Now,
You're welcome.
the the other side of that is I hope that everybody will take something from my content, whether whether it makes you happy or it makes you mad. It's really not the most important thing. But do you see how I set up the fire here, or do you see how before the steak got to a certain temp, I now started to sear it? It's really that really is my MO when it comes to cooking, and that's the motivation and shameless plug here behind my book right now, where it's all about
Ding.
the process, right? It's about the process in that book, and not
Click the
there's
link
10
below.
recipes in the book. You know what I mean? But everything is about how I do it, and hope that you can replicate it and invite me to dinner one day.
Yeah.
I like to tell people like bad barbecue doesn't do anything for anybody, right? So we all have a vested interest as barbecue guys in general. I mean, this is true of cooking, but realistically, in barbecue in the space that we live in, we all have a vested interest in making sure that people who want to cook barbecue, whether they're starting or whether they're 20 years into it, they're constantly improving the craft. And the reason I say that is I feel like it's that rising tide type of thing. If
Hmm.
everyone's okay with mediocre barbecue, if you have one barbecue restaurant in town and it's absolute shit, then like that's what people are going to set the bar at, right? But if you can be the guy in the backyard that everyone wants to come over to your house because you blow that restaurant away or you blow everybody else away, now you've raised the bar. And what it's going to do is it's going to force competition between your next door neighbor or that barbecue restaurant in town or the next guy in the barbecue competition or whatever it is. It's going to force that all those ships start rising and getting better and better. I mean, I think, if you can credit, a lot of people online, like the Malcolm Reeds, with How to Barbecue Right, or the Aaron Franklins, where when they came out, it was like, this is just what I do, right? And people are like, man, I've never thought about seasoning chicken, right? Or I've never thought about cooking a brisket at that low of a temperature or resting it for 12 hours or all these things. And then people start experimenting and they play and they become a better barbecue cook. What it's done is it's raised all those ships. So, the comment in question was about, how does your stuff add value? I think it does just that. It incrementally pushes the bar up, 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 up until people know the difference between bad and good. And we don't have to settle for mediocre stuff anymore.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, and you may ruin some old favorite restaurants for some folks. Because I was reading through your book last night, and you were talking about the over smoked stuff, and I was like, that's really going to ruin a lot of folks' opinion of the last time that they cooked chicken. That they
Hmm.
they cooked chicken with mesquite, and they're like, oh yeah, I was burping that chicken up for 4 or 5 hours, and you go, oh, I ruined it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that is it though. The thought a lot of my content is thought provoking, right? It's to
Hmm.
challenge the inner you to say like, nah, that can't be real. Let me try it. That that's how I have done a lot of the things that I've done, whether in barbecue or content creation, is I've challenged myself. I saw it, it worked for Deuce, and I'm just like, really? Did he just do that? Let me try it. And a lot of times I try stuff and not film it because I want to see if it works. And then I can go prove it. You know what I mean? Like I can say
Hmm.
like, bro, he just did this and I can do it too. So can you. You know what I mean? Like that is the mindset that I have as curiosity. I'm always curious about certain things, not hot dogs. Not curious about that at all. We're not doing that. but, but,
or
but
or mustard
I'm
as a
going to convince Kunchi
binder.
to do a slot dog episode here.
We're not even
Right.
talking about binders with Kunchi. Come on.
no man, damn hot dog content's crazy to me.
I was just I went over to the restaurant the other day, and one of the cooks in the kitchen, he's giving me a couple ideas. He's kind of like a foodie guy, younger guy. And he's like, "Oh, I just saw something about hot dog burnt ends. What do you think, Deuce?" And I was just like, "Oh, bro." I was like, I'm trying to be nice, because I'm the boss, and I'm trying to be encouraging and everything. But I had to walk away from that one.
Yeah.
And it no, it has the potential to go viral, right? The
Yeah.
hot dog content, it that can be very thought provoking. But I do not want to be known
The hot
for
dog guy.
hot dog burn. No, like
No.
is there any company that's gonna call me up and say like, dude, those hot dog burn ends, we need you to come out to a show here and do that. And if you call
I
me
mean,
and talk
Sweet
to me
Baby
about
Ray's
that,
has the
dude,
contract already written up for you, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
right,
right.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you can
They're
keep
about
that
to fly
money.
you to Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be that guy, bro. I'm telling you right now. It's one of those things where you kind of have to decide like where do you want to live? You know
Mm,
what I mean? As a creator, and we're taking up real estate on the internet. You know,
Hmm.
that's what we do. Do you want to be in the wrong part of town? I don't want to be over there. And it's really just how I look at, when I'm picking like what I want to do and what I want to try in my content.
I think that
So yeah.
you make an interesting point though, because I think what we saw, and maybe it was a COVID thing, in 2020 when people are sitting home and they're bored and they're like, I'm going to go viral on the internet. I feel like for a couple of years there, it was just like, how extreme can these, new content create, the chicken and
Yeah.
the watermelon crap. And everyone who
Yeah.
knows how to cook is like, that is going to be the grossest, most gummy chicken skin you've ever
Ugh,
had in your
Yeah.
life. But people are like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, it's so cool. Then everyone had to try it. And it's all these trends. And I feel like we've now kind of settled to the point where people are like, okay, I'm over the shock and awe of just bullshit content.
Yeah.
And I'm more drawn to the people who actually know what they're doing, who are actually educating, who are adding value to my life. Like there is a place for that shock and awe, but there's not longevity in the shock and awe.
No.
Yeah.
And let you, I mean, unless you really think you can keep that kind of thing up, I mean, how much hot dog content can you produce, right?
Yeah.
At some point, there's got to be some depth to what you're doing, or
Mhm.
it's just going to be a flash in the pan. And I do feel like that's why we saw this massive, the massive resurgence of creators come in over the last, say 5 years, and then a lot of it just die off because people realize like, yeah, it's kind of fun, but at some point, like it gets old. Like I want something that's going to add value to
Yeah.
my life. If I'm going to invest the time, whether it's 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 10 minutes, whatever it is, to follow someone, to watch someone, I want to walk away from that video with a little bit of information, a little bit of feel good, a little bit of something.
Yeah. There's got to be more substance to you than like I write currently like a current event like the everybody knows the Haktua girl, um, but she is like she has kind of turned, um, she's kind of made a turn and gone away from the stupid 10-second clip that made her quote unquote famous, and like she's selling merchandise, she's on like all these different podcasts, and like very few, like, I'll see little clips here and there, but very few of the clips that you're seeing are anything to do with what she started. What made her, kind of famous, I guess you could say. So I mean, I guess the other side of making pumpkin chicken or a watermelon chicken is, can you make the turn? And I mean, she's kind of made the turn a little bit. So
But is she
I
adding
mean,
value?
to
You know what I mean?
I've
Like,
I've kind of
or maybe I
been
haven't seen enough of it.
yeah, I've kind of been watching and following, especially, knowing that this is what we were going to be doing. I was like, that's kind of the opposite of, what y'all are doing, being, in the trenches and shooting content over and over and over. Whereas, she's like, oh yeah, you got to do this. And then boom, she's famous. Everybody knows who she is. Like, and it's not like everybody in the, everybody that likes to hang out in the street at night knows who she is. It's like everybody knows who she is. She's transcended, the being in the street. She's transcended. I mean, I know about her. Y'all all know about her, and y'all are all barbecue people. Y'all aren't hanging out in the streets and doing that sort of thing. And I mean, like, one of the guys at work is, he's a golf guy. Like, he goes and plays golf anytime he can, and he knows exactly who she is. So she's kind of transcended through what her niche originally was, which I don't think it was a purposeful niche for her, but like, she's transcended through that. Granted, it's not like content that I'm going to continue to consume, but like, I'm just kind of watching her kind of evolve, I guess you could say, and it's kind of interesting to see
All I'll say is
because
good on her for taking that opportunity and running with it and maximizing it. And
yeah,
I agree. I think she's gotten more tasteful from the hot Tua incident, and I think all I could say is good for her.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's like when you say somebody that, somebody goes viral, like, most of the time if you go viral, you're in your space. But like, she has gone viral on such a larger level, and this has been like over a month ago, and people are still talking about her. People are still going, hey, come be on the podcast. Like, she's been on a bunch of comedians podcasts. She was on, I want to say, Bill Burr's podcast. Like, these are people that are not like, content creators necessarily. They're mainstream media people, and they're like, we would love to have you on the show. Somebody, it's it's one of those, like, you're viral on a different level. Like, that's not something that, everybody knows who she is. Like, you know, with your, the snake method. Pretty much everybody in the barbecue world probably, if we're, massive content consumers, probably have seen the snake method. And I know that that is one of the things that I'm going to see with your content. But like, it doesn't transcend into, golfers are like, man, have you ever tried doing such and such? They're not doing that. So it's interesting to see that level of a viral sensation that is transcending, the different places.
If you can make a pivot, I mean, if you can, she found herself at the right place at the right time, you know, give or take. But whatever it was that made her famous, at some point, like, she was able to make a pivot, right? And I think Kunchi, you kind of alluded to that too, like the progression of us as creators. Like, if you go back and watch the videos that any one of us made 5 or 10 years ago, they're completely different than what we make now in style and quality and everything, right? At some point, we all kind of make these pivots in our own creative journey. And, the one of the keys to success is being able to carry over a pivot. You make a pivot, and can you actually follow through on it? Can you develop yourself? Can you become a different person?
Yeah.
As a business decision, she she might be able to benefit from that virality because it was on that scale, right? Now, we've seen that. We see it all the time because we're kind of growing up in this content space over the last few years, and we're seeing, like Stale Cracker come through, and we've seen like all the comedians who start making skits. Now they have shows and all over the place. So yes, there is a place for virality, but I don't try to chase virality. Number one,
Mm,
virality makes me busy. Like I have to be answering questions and like all this stuff, and like, man, I don't love virality as much. It was cool in the beginning, but now like I'm like, bro, I gotta shoot other stuff today. I can't be talking about this for 2 weeks, because you guys are just consuming that. Um, but I also don't want to walk into the grocery store, me and my daughter, and this person is gonna be like, "Bro, did you said that?" And I'm like, like my daughter is like, "Dude, he noticed you, right?" I
Yeah.
want her to still be proud of whatever I was viral for, not for something that I'm gonna be like, man, I'm gonna have to spend forever now trying to distance myself from that thing,
Hmm.
right? And there are certain things that I just feel, I see it and I'm just like, you could never pay me to do that. And, that's
Yeah.
just one of those things for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of six and one, half dozen any other, as far as like you need the attention, you want the attention, but do you want that kind of attention? You're getting attention both ways, but from the pop, the shock, you still got to make the turn back into what it is that you want to do. Whereas if you're, in the trenches and pounding sand and putting content out, you don't have to make necessarily such a big pivot. Like, you can go from making super fancy videos to pajamas, videos, and you're never gonna live that down, bro.
No, I'm
I will
good
say
with it, man. I leaned in.
there's a negative side to virality too that I think, as business people, we're content creators, but at the same time, like we run a business in content, right?
Mhm.
And the negative side of virality is that we spend weeks and months and years curating an audience of people who like our stuff, follow our stuff, engage with our stuff, right? Like we watch our reach, we watch our engagement rate, we watch our frequency, like we're analyzing metrics to try to figure out how, like the question before, how can we better serve our audience? If people engage with this, that means they want to see it, so we're going to lean into it. When
Hmm.
something goes viral, it helps us in a certain way because we have more eyes on us, right? But what it does is it absolutely tanks our engagement rate,
Mhm.
Hmm.
because people will see it, but yet they're not going to continue to follow me. They're not going to continue to be part of my tribe.
Yes.
So when something goes viral, you actually have a recovery period where, Kunchi said, like at a very practical level, like you're answering questions or deleting trolls or whatever it is, to kind of try to curate your audience back in and wrangle them back in. But there actually is a recovery period as a creator from a business side of virality where I no longer have like this curated audience of people who really like my stuff. Now it's a bunch of people who just engage because I cooked a chicken and a pumpkin.
Hmm.
And they're not going to be really happy when I cook jerk chicken wings next week because
Yeah.
it's not
Hmm.
crazy, viral engagement like the other thing. So you
True.
you have a recovery period. So virality is good in certain ways, but it can actually be really negative in other ways if you're trying to be a creator that curates an audience and actually serves the audience continually.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
from a full time standpoint, like you can't hope to have a crazy viral video every single time you post one. You have to kind of have a steady build, I guess you could say. It does better each time. It's your content's engaged more and seen more as opposed to trying to get that pop.
Hmm.
Seeking the pop.
Yeah. For sure.
So we are closing in on hanging out for an hour. I kind of wanted to touch base. I've got 70 million questions still in my brain, and every single time I ask a question, one of you will say something. I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. I'm, I'm gonna have to like take all three of you, put you in a room, and we're gonna have to do this for a week. But I wanted it to. I wanted to kind of touch base and well, not dollars and cents, but like as far as this is your business, like Kunchi, you are full time in this. Nick, you do this full time for people. Deuce, you do this in addition to your full time thing. How do you set yourself up business wise, like for somebody that's coming into it and going, you know what, i've I've saved enough money to pay all my bills for a year. I'm going to give myself a year to try to turn into a content creator. Like, how do you set yourself up business wise?
I'll start, but I don't think I have a very good answer. I think, from what I've seen and the amount of effort and time that we put into it, to actually support yourself by doing this seems like a tall task, in my opinion. Um, this is just my own experience. We generate a little bit of money through Facebook and Instagram. I generate a little bit of sales to the Deuces Wild brand, and I
Hmm.
know I generate sales through to the catering business. It's just very hard to track. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just very hard to track whether did they see us did they see us on Instagram or on TikTok? Did they see one of our vehicles driving by? Did they see me at the gym wearing a catering shirt? It's very hard to track on how all the leads come in.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, most of the time people will put Google is, we have them fill out a
Hmm.
form after they call in, and they most of the people put Google, but what led them to Google? Was it a
Yeah.
TikTok or an Instagram or something
Well,
else?
yeah, and like your content creation, like because you have the full-time job, like it is, I liken your stuff to just flat out just lead generation. Like it doesn't have
Mhm,
anything to do with you making an income. It's like, let me make a customer.
mhm.
Let me create a customer out of thin air by doing what I do and them seeing what I do and I'm going, oh, that looks tasty. And it's obtainable because it's right here. This is the address, whatever, whatever. Um,
Yeah. But it would be scary to me to solely rely on being an influencer or content creator for income. But I don't look at it like that. So I don't have the best perspective on it. So I'll
yeah.
pass.
So
What do you think?
as far as this goes full time, I'll 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 start with this. Don't go in it for the money, right? That's the true for any field that you're going to, and people take this sometimes as a slight, as like they're telling you don't do it. I'm not telling you don't do it, but don't come in and expect like hundreds of thousands of dollars in sponsorships and sales and all of this stuff. What you should focus on, number one, is what who do you want to talk to? Who are you trying to
Mhm.
talk to? What is your audience? You build your audience, and when you figure out who your audience is and what they really love, then
And what they
you
need.
you can try to see how can I how can I turn this part into a moneymaker. Likes and views and shares are not gonna do it. So if you don't have a long term goal of how to offer a product, a service, or anything else attached to this content and this notoriety and everything about me that people see and like or dislike on the internet, you're going to fail, right? So, yes, you can think about it as, long term. You can think about it as a business. You can make it your number one thing, but it's not just the content. And
Hmm.
doing it just for the money is it's gonna discourage you because a
Yeah.
lot of people they ask me that's the one question, how do you make money doing this? well, do you want to do this or not? Because if you want to do it bad enough, the money, you won't think about the money first, right? You'll do this thing and you'll get good at it and you'll be the best at it or one of the best in the space. And then, like the business idea and the monetization of this stuff will come, when the time is right. So I try to
Yeah.
dissuade people from thinking about how they're going to make money from it. There are ways, but what are you willing to do for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk real practical too, because I think Bush, you bring up a good point. Like, there's people who are like, okay, I've saved up some money, I think I want to do this. Which, chase your dreams, guys. Like, that's fine, but you need to realize from a real practical standpoint, content creation, there's a couple different veins you can live in. You can live in the fun content creation where you do this for yourself, or you can go after it for the money, right? And sometimes one turns into the other, but realistically, as a content creator, if you really do want to make money from it, let's just say you saved up, a year, you're going to need more. I'll tell you that right now. Like, it's going to take more than a year to do that. But as a content creator, what you're selling, the way you build a business around it is you're selling yourself, you're selling the network, you're selling the audience that you curate. And that's why I said before, like, the virality is actually not that great of a thing, because you may build an audience, but when your engagement rate goes down and your metrics go down, some brands will look at you and say, well, these guys got, 20 million followers, that's great. Well, then once you actually dig into the metrics on it, you're like, yeah, but like none of them actually do anything for me, right? Because the whole point of a brand working with a content creator is they are essentially buying time with your network. So Kunshi, I think you hit the nail on the head, man, is when you build an audience around yourself and around stuff that you love and stuff that when you actually get a brand deal, when you work with a sponsor, and you use that product, the people that watch you and engage with you, they will engage with that product. They will buy that product. They will support that brand because they know you, right? They know you, like you, trust you. They know that what Kunshi does, I trust to the point where I'm going to go buy that B&B charcoal, right? Because he trusts it. I see the product that he produces. It's a clean product. Now there's a good name behind that. If you hadn't actually built that audience, then they're never going to buy it. And a brand is never going to want to work with you. So the way any content creator makes money is brand sponsorships. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I know very, very few people who will just make money on views alone. They get a little bit of a, some mailbox money from YouTube or whatever. And the people that go viral, like, they can get a windfall check every now and then. But as far as sustainability, you get that by doing brand deals. And the way you do brand deals is having an audience that knows you, likes you, trusts you, and you've taken the time to build that up. And honestly, it's going to probably take more than a year to do that. So, job
much more
one,
than a year, for sure.
yeah, I mean, I would say it's got to be a 5-year plan that you're pounding it out to really, that's what don't quit your day job, guys. Like, do this on the side, build up your audience, figure out what they like, figure out, like Kunshi said, what resonates with them. And if that's who you are, then lean into it and start building up that product. You can't come in it, and say, I'm a car salesman, and people are like, cool, what car are you selling? Well, I actually don't have a car to sell. No, you have to have a product to sell. Well, your product is your network, and the network takes time to build to the point where you actually can say to a brand, look at what I've constructed. This is worth paying me money for. That's how content creators actually make a living at it. And it's not something you can do overnight. So like you said, it's much better to focus on creating quality content and curating a really good network that engages with you. And then the other stuff can come, but it can't come if you don't have that network.
Oh,
Yeah. Well,
sure.
I mean, you go, well, you got to have a brand deal to turn into a book deal to turn into whatever else, or you have, the content creation because you have the product, you have barbecue, you have catering. So like it's kind of, either whichever avenue you have to have something to offer outside of. I sure do look good, don't I?
hmm And so, and that's the essence of the Hawk Tua girl comes right back, like it comes full circle, right?
Hmm.
Who is her audience? What are they interested in? Can I sell something in that space? Like,
Hmm.
cool. The phrase was great, and but what can you sell, right? How can
Well,
you help me put butts in seats, or
yeah.
get products
What?
out of a
That's
store
the
and
reality of the
stuff
business
like
side with it,
that?
right? Yeah.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well,
So Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like with her, like I read an article, and like just in the last like 60 days, she's made $30,000 in hats, and like another like 15 or 20 in $60 signed hats with that Haktua on there. So I mean, like, eh, I mean,
There are unicorns, I bet.
Yeah.
she she's truly a unicorn.
Well, but
Oh
you know
man.
what? To her credit, she
Yeah.
found an audience that enjoys the product, and she's doubling down on the product. Now, is there longevity in that? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. You know, will she find a voice with it? Maybe, maybe not. But I
Yeah,
mean, but she's actually done in a short period of time. She's done what we're saying to do, which is build the audience, which she, you know, inadvertently built very quickly, and then give them what they want if that's truly you. So, you know, take the
hmm
paycheck and run.
Yeah.
yeah.
For sure,
Well,
man. And don't strive
go
for
ahead.
that though. Don't think that you're gonna be the next hot
Unicorn.
to a girl, or don't try to be the next stale cracker. Everybody doesn't have that thing, right?
Hmm.
Long term, what can you offer, and how can you turn this into a day to day that you can be proud of, that you can build a life around, that you can build a business around? That
Yeah,
is where it's at. It's not just dollars and cents. There's so many other pieces that goes into, doing this full time.
Well, and you know what? And I know we're kind of wrapping up here, but I'll give you a really good example of someone that we know is like Derek Wolf and the Fire Crew, right? Like they
Mhm.
spent years building up this really good content. All the whole network of all the influencers that they spent years building up this really good content, and then said we're going to build a business around this content so that we can not just make money on our own, but actually put forth a business that's going to make money as well. Like there's the evolution of content creation. They're using their content now to build a business, but they had to have the content in the beginning, and they had to have the network that was built by using that content. So it's definitely a multi-stage process, and it's definitely not something that happens overnight. You know, the successful people that we see around us, like you said, Kunshi, I mean, that's the unicorn. The real successful people are the people who've been doing it day in and day out for years and years. And I don't want to discourage anyone from doing it. You should do it, but you need to realize that this needs to be something that's really in you,
Mhm.
because it has to be something long term. Like you're going to have to grind it out. You're going to have to produce videos that get 50, 100, 150 likes for months and months and months on end until that network finally rallies around you.
I mean, on the extreme level, you can look at Mr. Beast. I mean, he's been doing YouTube since a very, very early days,
Mhm.
and nobody knew who Mr. Beast was till like 3 or 4 years ago. You know, in our
Yeah,
age group, anyways, I would guess.
Yeah.
yeah.
But now he's mainstream. I mean, everybody knows Mr. Beast, and he's got candy
He
bars in
literally has a
stores,
yeah,
and it's ridiculous. And I have so much respect for him and his dedication and work ethic and everything like that. But it took years and years
yeah,
of relentless working hours and hours and hours to do what he's done. And
Right.
it's good. It's, at a lower level you can get there, but it takes a long time.
yeah.
Yeah. As far as authenticity goes, and I will talk about authenticity till the day I die. You have to be yourself. Don't try to be the next this person. Don't
hmm
try to be better than this person, or, one up anybody else. Do what you do and do it so well that you're going to have your people. It's not going to be the same people as the 50 million views. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And it's not going to be that. But out of your 20,000, are there 5,000 people who would spend $50 with you every month and put money in your pocket? Can
hmm
you live with that? I think you can find satisfaction in so many things. Just chasing the number and all these huge things. Don't chase it. It might come. You might cook hot dogs one day and it goes crazy, and people like, where did you get that thing? And you can sell, you know, a million of the little thing that they
The,
do to the hot
the
dog or
little hot
whatever they
dog
do.
score thing.
Yeah, like right, and you could probably make some money doing that, but those things are unicorns. So don't try to chase those things, and don't try to copy like every little thing that you see that works. Do it in your way, and then
It's not
you'll
sustainable if it's not you.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and I had hoped we weren't going to get into Stale Cracker because he was actually on. That's next hour. But like he is, oh yeah, like it's an exaggerated portrayal of who he is, and like it's like you're having to put on a show if you're out and about. Like you got to be Stale Cracker if you're out and about, whereas like Deuce or Kunchi, you guys can just be you because that's who you are on camera. You don't have to, like you don't have to go to work and put that uniform on per se.
Yeah.
You don't have to put the hat and the stupid wig on, and talk about yaw buds and whatnot. So you get to be you, and your content can be you through what you put out, and you don't have to you know you're not a show pony. I guess I kind of say.
And you're not pigeonholing yourself into some persona either. Like, Deuce in 10 years, you're still going to be Deuce, right?
Mhm.
You're not going to be sick of, using some, voice or wearing something or having some catchphrase that you happen to say in a drunken night one time. Like when you're you, you're just you, right? And you attract the people that like you.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well, guys,
Yeah.
we're going to table it here. You have one more thing, get you?
Now, I was just gonna say, I have an experience where a company wanted me to come up with a slogan, and dude, I came, I got off that meeting, and I'm like, all day, dude, I'm writing stuff down, and and I just got back to him like, dude, I don't have a slogan, and I'm not gonna do it because if I can't say it for the rest of my life, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say it today, and
yeah,
it just that's how I'm gonna run everything that I do. If it's not something that I'm gonna eat, I'm not gonna cook it. Right?
yeah,
I'm not gonna like pretend to like something. Like I've cooked recipes that I've seen guys do, and I am so mad that these people made this face like, oh, this was so good. I'm like, how can you say that to me? Like I was gonna try it. You know what I mean? Like that. It's just, man, you got to be real, and that's what I present to anybody who I ever meet, whoever sees my content. I'm just gonna be myself, and that's cool. I cannot be all things to all people, and I'm
hmm
perfectly okay with that.
yeah. Guess we're gonna hit the socials and we're gonna wrap this thing up, man. Nick, you want to hit your socials?
Absolutely. Nick Cooks Barbecue is my personal stuff on all the socials, and our agency that we do consulting and content creation and advertising is at Forge Fire Creative.
Awesome, awesome. And Shaq.
I am cooking with Kunchi on all platforms, so it's COOKINWIDKUNCHI. All platforms: Instagram, TikTok, um, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you know,
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, all of them.
OnlyFans.
OnlyPans, maybe.
Only pan. Wait, you can start a OnlyFans and only cooking pans. You could branch out there. And last but not least, Kermit.
Yes. I'm at Deuce Raymond on all the platforms. That's my personal. And then our business is at Sweet Baby Race Catering. So come check us out. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, guys! Thank y'all so much. An hour and 24 minutes. I feel like we talked about three things, and there's so much more. I appreciate y'all's time. I hope you guys are open to doing this again in the near future. And guys, we're gonna sign it off, man.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Nice to see you guys. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely,
Thanks.
absolutely.
Take
Guys,
care.
if you've enjoyed this week's episode, we would appreciate a review, a like, a share, and as always, keep smoking. I say that on every one. It's just my catchphrase.
I'm
Thanks,
gonna
guys.
roll, guys. Take care.
All
All
right.
right.
Take